What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes, and in this video I'm going to be taking a look at the Book IV Midpoint Banner, which features Mirabilis, Apotheosis Anna, Mustafa, Seri, and also Emmryn, who's not on the banner but has been added through the update. So I'm going to be giving you guys a review of these units and also builds for them. As always, I want to thank ShailorMercury for the layout. Her link is going to be in the description. And if you guys do enjoy these analysis videos with the builds and stuff, be sure to subscribe and leave a like. It helps out the channel a lot. So with that said, let us begin. Mirabilis is basically the star of this banner because she's an Anima Mythic unit that gives you resistance to your Anima blessed allies in the Ether Raid's defense. So her being an Anima defense hero is gonna be a pretty nice thing, especially on a banner where you could get a guaranteed 5-star unit after 40 summons, and you already get 9 summoning tickets as it is. So you're just gonna be requiring 113 orbs at minimum to get Mirabilis from the Spark system, and this is pretty insane because this has never been done before to a mythic unit. So this is your best chance to get her. Otherwise she's going to be returning this month in the legendary banner, sharing colors with Sothis, but the thing is that she's going to be sharing colors with 2 red units there, and here she just shares color with Seri, and the odds of these mythic and legendary banners aren't really the greatest, and Spark system is definitely much better. So that's why she's got a lot of hype going on around her, and as a unit she deserves all kind of hype because she is a really flexible and a very powerful defensive mythic unit in Ether Raids, and that's pretty much her main role as a mythic unit. So defensive mythic units are basically a necessity in Ether Raids at this point if you do care about ranking, and even if you don't really care about ranking, it is still pretty nice to have lift reduction. So in general, this, like, she's gonna be a pretty flexible unit because she's a dancer. She can fit with any kind of team. Any kind of team appreciates a dancer, and Mirabilis provides that. Not only that, she can also provide insane support with her weapon and her assist skill. So Flower of Ease is her weapon, which gives her +3 resistance, and if any kind of penalty or negative status is present on any foes within 3 columns centered on Mirabilis, then she inflicts -3 attack, defense, and resistance debuff on those foes during the combat. So even if, like, Mirabilis is not really dancing, she's still going to be providing the support to your allies in form of these in-combat debuffs, and these can be stacked up with visible debuffs. So this is very powerful, especially with her assist skill, which can grant, of course, another action to the ally, which is just dance. And she also has the Blaze Dance kind of thing, which is like a tactic skill here, because she can provide +5 attack to the target ally and allies within 2 spaces of the target. So that's really good. And she also inflicts -5 attack debuff on nearest foes within 4 spaces of the target ally and any foe within 2 spaces of the foes through their next action. So this is absolutely insane because this can stack up with the in combat debuff her weapon has got. So this is basically a -8 attack debuff, and that is huge for a lot of the tanking strategies and also for Vantage strategies especially, which depend on the unit having a lot of attack to Vantage sweep through the team. And having a -8 attack debuff is absolutely a very big thing. So we're definitely going to be seeing a meta shift in Astra season because Mirabilis is definitely a meta influential unit and definitely the best Anima defense unit, along with Thracier, I guess, but she's way more flexible than Thracier, even though she cannot really nuke like her. So Mirabilis can do a lot of movement shenanigans being a flying dancer, and another good thing is that she already comes with Fortress Defense Res, which can decrease her attack. And in Ether Raids, you want to have dancers with low attack so that they do not get baited out by the enemy, and as it is, baiting out Mirabilis is pretty hard because she's a melee dancer, and it's not really all that easy to do. So this can work with any kind of team composition, and her giving resistance is really good because it makes your units bulky, and she can just have really good synergy with other defensive mythic units like Thracier, who really appreciates the debuffs which she can do from Whimsical Dream. So Thracier can activate her killing intent easily. And Mirabilis' main flaw is that her HP is extremely low, so 100% gonna get isolated by Bridal Fiarm, who is gonna be pretty popular in the Astra season because she just got booted out of the Light season thanks to the existence of Milla, who is just a much better isolation unit. So Bridal Fiarm is definitely gonna be seeing a rise in the usage because of Mirabilis, because Whimsical Dreams -5 attack the buff is huge, and buffing attack of allies within 2 spaces is also really good. So overall, she's a top tier dancer, and definitely a top tier defensive mythic unit in ether raids. So if you don't really have any kind of mythic units, then she's definitely worthy of summoning and worthy of spending your 113 orbs with the summoning tickets to get a guaranteed summon on her. Her stats are also pretty nice because she can run stuff like sabotage skills, and she does have high defense and high resistance, so she's not really going to be all that susceptible to just getting one-shotted, I guess. But she's really slow, so she's going to get doubled by pretty much anything that moves. And she does have a super bane in HP and speed, which is not really all that big of a deal because even if she has got those IVs, her job is to just dance and support what she's going to be doing regardless of her IVs or her stats. These are some of the builds which you are going to be seeing in Ether Raid's defense a lot, and these are definitely some really good options that you could do. The first one is a super budget one, just using guidance and having distant guard. The gap skill isn't really all that good for Ether Raid's defense because you don't really want to like give visible buffs right off the bat at start of the turn because people are going to be running stuff like Aversa, Panic Manners, and stuff like that. So you could definitely run distant guard over that buffing skill. Wings of Mercy is going to be super good. And guidance just allows you to abuse stuff like rally traps. A rally trap is basically when any kind of unit is in the range of the foe. A unit who has got rally will jump forward and use the rally skill on that unit, and that can basically be enabled with stuff like guidance, so that is super good. So that makes it harder for your opponent to expect the movement, and you basically want to mix up all of the movement shenanigans with her build. Just how Wings of Mercy, Ground Orders is going to be an absolutely top tier skill for her. Definitely be sure to run that. That opens up so many options and just makes the movement of your team so much more complex and unpredictable for the opponent. And you can combine that with Aerobatics, Sacred Seal, which is just really great. Or you could run Guidance, Ground Orders, and also Aerobatics. So basically, depending on your team composition, you could do any of those things. And as for her special, she could run Iceberg. Don't really run any kind of 2-turn cooldown special. And you could run even something like Escutcheon or Sacred Cowl. It doesn't really matter too much because her job is to just dance most of the time. And now we move on to her builds for the other content other than Ether Raids. So this is basically for all of the other game modes, like in-game content, Abyssal Map, stuff like that. So she could just run Speed Tactic or have Gale Dance. Gale Dance and her Whimsical Dream basically allows her to buff up the ally even if they are just really far away. And she could also run Earth Dance and have Speed Opening. Once again, we're trying to buff the ally even when they are going to be far away from Mirabilis. So she could just jump in with Wings of Mercy and do that. And I know that many people might try to plus and merge her on this banner because it's easier to do that here compared to a legendary banner. You can definitely use her in Arena as a score stick because she does have a high scoring dance skill in Whimsical Dream. She also has a preferred weapon, so our dual flying is going to be making her a nice 170 BST unit that you could use, and having dance in Arena is going to be super useful. You could also use this in Melee and Strike, which does work like Arena in terms of scoring, and you could just run a full support build with Aerobatics as well. And the final build isn't the most optimal one, but the thing is that Mirabilis does have the stats for it, so I'm still going to be just mentioning it. She can run Distant Counter, Quick Riposte, and IO Shield because she actually has really high resistance at plus and merge, and really high defense as well, so she can function as an enemy face tank as well as being a dancer. I almost forgot to check the stats which I predicted and what she has now. Basically, I like to do in my first impression videos these stat speculations, and then I like to see how accurate I am. And for Mirabilis, I was quite accurate. I calculated her attack pretty well, and I expected her low speed. It's just that she ends up having way more defense than what I expected, and a bit less resistance. Ana is a Lance Infantry unit, and she's gonna be a queen of Lance Infantry units for quite a while because this is a very rare class. So here are the stats which I speculated. She ends up having pretty close to what I expected. She has pretty much the same offenses, and you just switch up her defense and resistance from what I speculated. So I'm pretty happy with my speculation overall for this banner. Ana, being a Lance Infantry unit, has virtually no competition in this field because she's the fastest one at that, and she's a really solid unit. Her weapon is Apotheosis Spear, which gives her +3 speed, and she can move to any space adjacent to an ally within 2 spaces. And at start of combat, if the foe is at above 75% HP, then she gets +5 attack and speed during the combat. So this allows her to get some nice movement and also some good offenses, which is always appreciated. And this is a pretty easy skill to activate most of the time. And she does have a super boon in speed, which makes her a really good user of close call and repel, which not a lot of lance infantry units can really use. So that's a pretty big niche that Anna has got going for her. A lot of these lance infantry units are extremely slow and are just very tanky, so Anna is quite unique in that regard. She's a pretty versatile unit because of her balanced stat spread. She could work both in the enemy phase as well in the player phase because of her offenses. So she has got a lot of build options. The first build is just a budget build. You just have to run attack defense bond to have better defense, and you could run something like Moonbow. And then you could have another budget build, the good old Fury Desperation. It works because she does have high speed, and she does appreciate being in the Desperation range and activating Moonbow with Flashing Blade. And then you could just run Close Call even at unmerged. If you do get plus speed IV, she reaches 49 speed, which is a lot. Which is really a lot at this low merge. So even unmerged Anna can make really good use of Close Call or Repel. And Close Call is already present on this banner in Seri. So you could do something like this and have Flashing Blade and trigger Iceberg in a single round of combat. You could also use her with Blue Flame because it does have synergy with Attack Speed Bond. And Attack Speed Bond also lets the chill speed debuff basically get neutralized during the combat, and that's really great because she's going to be attracting a lot of chill speeds, and Blue Flame does have good synergy with that, and she can get pretty nice movement from her weapon. So all in all, this does have pretty good synergy. You could also run Attack Speed Push 4 and Loud Speed Defense, which are both really good options for her, and once again use Flashing Blade because she does have that speed. Speaking of Flashing Blade, she can also run a build like this, have Null follow up because of the fact that she's so fast, and she can run Quicken Pulse to basically have Gale Force at 4 cooldown. So even against any kind of range unit, she can easily trigger this in 2 hits. Flashing Blade does give her true damage, and something like this could be used in any game mode. Even in Ether Raids, this could be used because the Apotheosis Spear does give her the movement options, and she can basically forego Wings of Mercy if you have the placements correctly. And then this is basically the true Apotheosis Ultimate Anna build at +10 merge. You're definitely going to be running into this once a while in Arena with Close Call, so she's going to be extremely annoying to face. She can basically get up to 61 speed with her weapon and Joint Drive speed, which is just ridiculous. And you could also use her in Ether Raid's offense if you do get her to +10 merge if you're a dedicated Anna fan. So she is going to be a pretty nice Close Call user there. She can get ridiculous speed. Even if she gets debuffed by Bright Shrine or Chill Speed, she's still going to be so fast. So it's not even funny how fast she can get, especially with the help of Peony. And then you could definitely use her in Arena with a build like this. As I said, Null Follow Up is a really good option because of her high speed. And plus Attack IV can also be considered because she does have really high speed. Because you could argue that speed could be an overkill if you're not running something like Repel or Close Call, so that's an option as well. Mustafa is an Axe Infantry unit, and he is a demote unit from this banner to 3-star 4-star pool, as well as being a 4-star focus unit on this banner. So it's actually pretty easy to plus and merge him on this banner itself because of him being a 4-star focus unit. And my speculation with his attack stat was pretty close, just 1 point off and 2 points off of his speed. I did guess the defense correctly because he had the bonfire damage, and I was quite off with his resistance. So overall, Mustafa ends up being a slow but tanky Axe unit, and he does have 172 BST, which means that after the first merge, he's able to reach 175 BST, and that is really great for Arena scoring and makes him a great free-to-play friendly Arena scoring option that a lot of free-to-play players can easily merge up to +10. He comes with Barrier Axe Plus, which is just a variant of Rearguard Plus but in the resistance department, so this is definitely much appreciated to get more resistance in Dragon and Mage matchups. And as for fodder, he just has Defense Tactic on 4-star, which is much appreciated because we only have Attack Tactic in the normal summoning pool, so I hope they can add more tactic units. And Water Boost in 2020 is just a very big meme. You should definitely replace that as soon as possible. Now let's compare him to some of the other free-to-play friendly options that we have got. Ross and Echidna being one. So he's basically like a slower version of Ross who has got more resistance, and that's basically it. So it kind of makes him so that he is not really as versatile as Ross, because Ross can always get a resistance super boon and basically have the same resistance as Mustafa, and Ross has got way more speed than Mustafa, so he's much more flexible and versatile. Mustafa does have a speed super boon, but still he cannot reach as much speed as even a neutral speed IV Ross. So at the end, I would say that Ross is slightly better than Mustafa overall in terms of flexibility and in terms of stat spread. Echidna is also another option. She's got basically the same magical bulk as Mustafa, but she's very fast, and she doesn't have that much defense, but she makes up for the fact that she is fast and she can utilize stuff like Close Call and Repel, and that makes her one of the best free-to-play options to use those kinds of skills on. And she is definitely going to be lacking much harder in the attack department compared to these two units. So at the end of the day, Mustafa is just another option for the Axe Infantry category. As I said, he is just a side grade of Ross, the slower version of Ross, and Ross is slightly going to be better. But if you like Mustafa, then you could certainly go ahead and build him. He does have quite a lot of build options, which we'll go over. So these are just the budget builds that you could run on him if you're not going to be investing too heavily. These are always the ones you could go with. All of these are pretty cheap to do. And you can easily use Huge Fan Plus, which is a pretty good weapon from Groom Hinata on Mustafa. And speaking of Huge Fan, you could actually use it with Ignis and Steady Stance 4 and just retaliate back with a high damaging Ignis, which can do a lot of damage. And because Mustafa has got a speed super boon, you could certainly try a build like this if you do want to speed stack on him. He can essentially reach 48 speed unboosted, which is quite impressive for someone who starts out as slow as him. But still, that speed super boon definitely helping him right there. And this does add into his bulk because he is not going to get doubled all that much, and his bulk is pretty impressive as it is. And then you could use him in Ether Raids as a tank, so he can reach pretty good amount of bulk with that and can run lull attack defense to just ignore the buffs of the foes. Pulse Smoke is of course going to be good, but Attack Smoke can be run on a budget. And then we have got the Arena build. So as I said, he's a really good Arena option, so you could try out these options with Barrier Axe, Huge Fan Plus, or Guard Axe, and a mixture of other passive skills. And he will need a 300 SP slots skill to have the max Arena score, so be sure to have that if you want to reach the max Arena score with Mustafa. Seri is a new sword infantry unit that we have got in the game, and I was pretty spot on with her speculation. I nailed her attack pretty much, nailed her defense as well, which was kind of hard to do because of that Bow Cavalier. We of course knew her resistance. I'm only off with her speed. She actually ends up having 40 speed, which I didn't really expect. So Seri, in my opinion, does have a pretty interesting stat spread where she has got less defense and more resistance. And that is not something we usually see with these sword infantry units. It's usually the other way around. But that makes Seri a bit unique in terms of stat spread. But still, I would say that Seri is kind of underwhelming in my opinion. Not because of her stat spread, but because of her weapon. So Amatsu gives her -1 special cooldown, and it has got a distant counter that is conditional. So she needs to have above 50% HP to have this active. Now why do I say that she's underwhelming? Well, let's take a look at some of her competitors who are top tier infantry sword units, because Seri is also going to be in their ranking being a 5-star exclusive unit. So you compare her to Marita, who also has -1 special cooldown. She can get +4 to all of her stats and also null follow up if she's alone. Then we have got Fallen Ike, who has got permanent distant counter, no conditions, and he also thrives off of soaking penalties that actually make him powerful. Then we have got Larse, who also has -1 special cooldown like Seri, but she's got 2 conditions, and if she can meet any of those 2 conditions, she gets +4 to all of her stats and just ignores all of the visible buffs of the foe. And that is pretty strong. Then we have got Shannon, who might not have the -1 special cooldown, but he's got an insanely powerful effect that neutralizes penalties on him, and that is pretty insane because penalties are everywhere here with shrine structures, smoke skills, ploy skills, stuff like that. So Shannon is able to ignore that and also get +5 to all of her stats. Then we reach pilots who have -1 special cooldown, who have got null follow up and can ignore the special acceleration skills of the foes and also ignore guard on the enemy. And then you realize that Ciri only has a weapon description of 2 sentences, and she doesn't even function that well in player phase compared to these units. She's just kind of locked into this enemy phase restriction, because in the player phase, her weapon just gives her -1 special cooldown, that's it. Compared to all of these other units, these units are very versatile mixed phase units who have the same stat spread offensively basically, and they can run close call and repel just like Ciri. Ciri might have high resistance compared to them, but the thing is that their weapons are way more versatile. Now you could always make an argument that Ciri has got a distant counter weapon, so it frees up her slot A skill, but I wanna ask, is freeing up her slot A skill really that worth it when she's gonna be missing out on so many other effects? These units have got very unique effects that you cannot run in slot A simply, and they much rather run something like distant counter in slot A than missing out on these unique effects. And that's the problem with Ciri, that her distant counter slot A is open, but compared to these units, she just really falls short. So that's basically Ciri. Now that's not to say that she's a bad unit, as I said, definitely one of the better sword infantries, and if you do like her, then you could certainly use her. Kestrel Stance 3 is a new skill which she has got, and of course she's a good user of close call by having high speed and also having a speed super boon. The first build is a budget build, just utilizing Speed Smoke, Steady Posture, Sacred Seal, which does increase her low defense, and she can also have Iceberg at 2 cooldown, which is definitely pretty nice. And now we move on to some expensive builds. So Steady Posture 3 is definitely much better than Kestrel Stance, I would say, because it increases her defense, and that can increase her tanking capabilities much better. And because her weapon requires her to be above 50% HP, she could certainly run something like Soul, which becomes a 2-turn cooldown special. So this does have synergy with her weapon, because if she's below 50% HP, she's just not gonna be having the distant counter effect. You could also run Steady Breath from Brave Ike, because she does have -1 special cooldown, so Ether becomes a 4-turn special, and she can trigger this in a single round of combat. Because she's got a distant counter weapon, she can definitely utilize bonus doubler, and Rouse Speed Defense is available on Ferdinand, so that could be run. You could also utilize a build like this with Special Spiral and Steady Breath, so she's able to retaliate back with Ether, and that's pretty strong because she's able to heal up HP and also do quite a lot of damage. Ciri does have high resistance, and that's certainly very useful in something like Ether Rays, especially in the Astra season where she's going to be facing through Seers, and she does have a good matchup against her because she does have high resistance, she is having the weapon strong advantage, and she can run tier 4 slot A skills, so she can just prevent the Seer from nuking her with something like a Moonbow by using her Flashing Blade 4. And that's even assuming that the Seer can actually outspeed Ciri, who's gonna be so fast. So you can just run Noontime and she can instantly retaliate back with that. Pulse Smoke is of course gonna be helpful against infantry pulse teams. Emmryn is not a banner unit, but I figured I will just cover her because she's so popular and a lot of people requested me. So she is a free unit that you could obtain from Book IV Midpoint quests, and there you could get the free copy. And they have said that after the end of the next legendary banner next month, she's gonna be added into the summoning pool as a 3-star, 4-star unit. So after that, you could plus and merge her if you really like her. I didn't really speculate her stats because we were shown absolutely no gameplay of her. She was just added onto Meteor Heroes website. So she's got Fear Plus, Rehabilitate Plus, Miracle, which she didn't trigger in Awakening if you know what I mean. Wings of Mercy, which is actually a 5-star lock skill because giving that to us on 4-star clearly was a big bother. And Res Opening, which is not really all that good at 4-star. So Emmeryn is actually a pretty good infantry healer. She is definitely pretty fast, tying with Maria for the fastest infantry healer. She also has quite a bit of HP. So let's take a look how she compares to the recent demoted healers. Compared to Mercedes, outside of having less resistance, she is just much better because she's got more speed and also more HP. So she kind of makes up with the bulk. And compared to Brady, it's a very tough competition for Brady because she's just better having more speed, having more resistance, and also having more HP. So Emmryn is actually a really good infantry healer that is free to play available in the 3-star, 4-star pool, and even is given out for free. So Emmeryn can be built up in multiple ways. She's definitely quite versatile, and now let's go over her. So just a budget build, you know, having speed plus 3 attack speed bond lets her double, and you definitely want to go with this plus speed IV. That's definitely her best IV. And Wrath does have speed res form, so once again that could be used to give her a lot of speed so that she can double. And Fear Plus, in my opinion, isn't really all that good of a staff because getting attack smoke is pretty easy, and like getting attack debuff in general is quite easy. So having Pain Plus is much better, I would say, and she could be used in Arena Assault as a utility unit because she can just do the massive splash damage. And now with the Suspend feature in Arena Assault, you could easily equip the Savage Blow Sacred Seal on her, even if you have used that on a unit before. And now let's move on to the Plus and Merge builds. So this first build is a premium offensive build with attack speed push 4. Attack speed push is basically the best offensive options for healers, so you could just run a standard splash build with that. And then you could also run her as a bulky unit, basically with Fortress Defense Res. And if you unequip her weapon, then she could be a good auto battle healer just for training up units. That's what I like to do. You know, just in these special training maps, leave the unit alone with a unequipped weapon healer, and that's basically it. That makes it pretty easy to train. But outside of that, in Rooker Siege, she does provide you with really good utility if you do run Melancholy Plus or Witchy Wand Plus, which does have the guard smoke effect, and that is just super useful, even in Arena Assault. And I noticed that she ties for the highest HP for an infantry healer with Azama, which means that she can always be used in ether raids on an infantry pulse team, so she can actually pulse pretty decently with 2 Anima Mythic units, and she can also work as a Restore Trap unit, of course, being a healer, and she is quite strong at Plus and Merge, so she can do quite a bit of damage. And I would recommend using Panic Plus, because everyone and their mom uses visible buffs, so Panic is really great, and that provides additional check on your team to stuff like Vantage strategies, and also to tank strategies that just like to buff up a certain unit and just throw into the range of the enemy, so Panic can be pretty useful there. So overall, this is a pretty decent banner. I would say the biggest selling point of this banner is the fact that a Mythic unit is present with the Spark system, and you have been given 9 summoning tickets, so that makes it pretty easy for you to get the Spark system of the guaranteed 5-star unit after 40 summons. Anna is a pretty unique Lance Infantry unit. Mustafa is not the best Axe Infantry unit, but still he's an option for Plus and Merging. And Ciri, as I said, is a bit underwhelming compared to the top tier Infantry Sword units. And Emmryn is a really nice healer actually for a surprise. So let me know in the comments if you're going to be building up any of these units. I would love to know that. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I want to thank all of my YouTube members for their support. And if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment, helps me tremendously. And share this video with your friends who are excited about any of these characters present on this update. And be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as Water Boost in 2020. So with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.